welcome everyone. Hello, Stephen and Alison. Nice to see you both again. Thanks for joining us, Alison.
Hey, thank you.
It's always nice to have a guest involved, and who better than Allison Nixon, who's a health coach based over in Kent, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, Kent.
So,
right.
yeah. Do you want to say a little bit more about sort of introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Allison Nixon, and I'm, like you said, Dan, I'm a health coach, and I'm really passionate about helping people feel amazing in their bodies and just helping them to get healthy, teaching them, like, how to get back in the kitchen, cooking recipes again, and just so they're, feeling good, thriving in life, and just full of health and vitality and energy. So that's why I'm kind of passionate and getting people feeling really good about themselves, and to know what it feels like to feel healthy and to feel strong and like that.
Well, that's a very worthwhile thing to be doing, and there definitely seems to be more of a movement of people trying to sort of get back into the kitchen and sort of reconnect with food.
Yeah, it's not exactly the good life, but if we can look after ourselves a little bit better, then we all win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people just kind of got wrapped up in the busyness of life and just kind of forgot how to kind of care for themselves with good food and, just kind of getting back in the kitchen. I think a lot of people are gone really commercial eating and packaged foods and things like that. And it's just really robbing them of all the energy that they need. And they're just not, just not feeling well, or they're getting sick and things like that, because, it's the days of cooking from a recipe book. It's slowly coming back, but it went there for a while there. So
definitely, yeah, absolutely. And I was chatting to some of the other people who are on the farm where our unit is the other day, and so each day at lunchtime we sort of sit out and we sort of Paul himself, and if we've got any of our staff in, we sort of sit around and we're having lunch and what have you, and it's all pretty good stuff and largely homemade and what have you. And the comments that they say is that they see our food and just feel envious, and it's like, well, it's easy. And
it's interesting because I do believe it is easy, but I think people got it in their minds that it's difficult, it's going to take a lot of time, but actually it's worth you could have a nice easy quick meal ready in 10-15 minutes, something simple that could be really healthy and nutritious for yourself. So I think it's that mindset, isn't it, that people, it's going to be hard, it's going to take a long time, so they'd rather not do it. But actually I think it's just probably switching up the way you approach it and think about things, that actually it's quite simple. It doesn't need to be difficult.
No, absolutely. And I think as a society we've become conditioned and accustomed to convenience, and people think that just grabbing something off the shelf, chucking it in the oven at best, or in a microwave at worst, and that's convenient, when actually, like you say, you can actually whip up some fabulous homemade food in the same amount of time it takes for something to cook in the oven.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, excellent. Well, it's great to have you with us, and for the people who are watching, if at any point you have any questions, just type them into the chat, and between us we'll do our best to sort of pick up on those and give you what answers we can. So obviously, this is RawChocTV. So our main focus is raw chocolate, which I'm pleased to say is pretty darn good for you.
Indeed. The whole purpose of today's show is to talk about how healthy raw chocolate is, and making raw chocolate recipes, which we'll come on into a moment. But Dan, why is raw chocolate healthy? I mean, we're told not to eat too much of Cadbury's stuff, so why is raw chocolate different?
I guess it follows on from what we've talked about in previous shows about what raw chocolate is, and about it being minimally processed. The beans aren't roasted, and then when you're making it, you're not adulterating it with lots of sort of artificial ingredients or sort of high GI sugars and those sorts of things. So it's taking those elements of what consists raw chocolate, what makes raw chocolate, and actually just looking at those. And so it's the fact that you're not destroying nutrients by roasting the beans and then heavily processing the beans at high temperatures. So you're maintaining the high levels of nutrients, so particularly things like antioxidants, but also cacao is hugely nutrient dense with a very, very wide profile of nutrients.
Yeah, magnesium being one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right up the top of the list, pretty much, on sort of bioavailable magnesium from any foodstuff. Other things up there are sort of nuts and seeds, sort of Brazil nuts, cashew nuts, things like that. And so it's one of those things. And magnesium is actually one of the things that is very deficient in Western diets, particularly when people move away from natural home cooked food to processed mass produced food. You start losing all these micronutrients, and as a result you're ending up, people sort of on the surface they look like they're being fed well, but actually underlying that is sort of like deepening and growing nutrient deficiencies in many people, and magnesium is one of those nutrients that Western society is very deficient in. And the interesting thing with magnesium, I always think, is we associate chocolate with love. It's long been known as chocolate love. You give chocolates at Valentine's, etc., etc. But actually, on a biochemical level, cacao is really good for our heart, because the highest concentration of magnesium is in our hearts. And we have this association of chocolate of being connected with love, and love's connected with our heart. So it's almost like somewhere in our subconscious, we know that cacao is good for us in that way, but there's a disconnect in sort of most people's understanding of it. But yeah, it's packed full of nutrients: magnesium, copper, zinc, huge amounts of vitamins and other minerals. So yeah, and then it's the way you make it. So the types of what you use for sweetening. So I mean, I'm sure you use a variety of things, I would imagine, Alison, as we do.
Yeah, definitely. And just to kind of add on what you're saying about the health benefits of chocolate, it's known to be raw cacao, the #1 antioxidant food source in the world. So, which what we all need, especially as we age, and we all need those antioxidant levels as high as we can. So it was interesting. I read something the other day that it has actually 15 times more antioxidants in raw cacao compared to blueberries. So, and a lot of us associate antioxidants, blueberries. I don't know, it's kind of an association. So many people don't even think about raw cacao in its purest form, that how good it could be for you, actually. So, and I guess just an add-on to the magnesium, like you said, Western diets are so deficient in magnesium. So many people that suffer like from headaches, or even just can't handle a lot of stress in their bodies, is because of that deficiency. So it's really has, like I said, a lot of health benefits.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day, because of the new EU legislation and regulations that come in over the past few years, and you can't make health claims on food packaging, food labeling, unless it's been scientifically proved and backed up, and that claim has then been approved by the EU. And there is actually a health claim relating to cacao that has been approved by the EU, and it involves the flavonoids and the vasodilation, so the sort of opening of the arteries and the blood vessels to help with sort of circulation. So it's sort of they're starting to sort of recognise the benefits of sort of raw cacao. So hopefully over time, more of these will come out.
I think that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's good that actually they're starting to realize all these like spices and herbs and things from the earth, from Mother Earth, are actually can heal us, and they're there for a reason. So they can actually benefit us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the oldest sayings is like let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food, and that was Hippocrates. And Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine, and doctors swear the Hippocratic Oath. Yet that seems to have been dropped out of medical training along the way somehow, and so they get a passing sort of gesture, sort of oh, quick, oh yes, food, we need to eat it. And it doesn't seem to go much more than that. It's only if sort of a doctor has an interest in sort of food, nutrition, diet, and what have you, that they then will do outside study, because they just don't get the training in the medical profession. So yeah, it's food is there for, we are made of what we eat. It's kind of as simple as that, I think.
Right.
True.
Just going back to magnesium for a moment, but a question from Elaine.
Okay.
Thank you, Elaine. What type of food do you find magnesium in?
Well, like I say, cacao is one of the richest sources of magnesium, and then things like nuts and seeds, Brazil nuts, cashew nuts, also in things like seaweed and things like that. So it's a variety of things, but so yeah, nuts, seeds, cacao. Those are really good sources. Sorry.
And some collard greens and avocados as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Good sources.
So again, it's sort of eat nuts and seeds, eat green things, and you're probably going to be putting good things into your body.
Yeah.
Why does chocolate give us a buzz? Why do we enjoy eating it so much?
There's various chemicals in it that trigger different pathways in our body. There's one I can never remember, the phenylalanine or something like that. I can never remember the name of it.
Is it PEA?
PEA. There's another one as well. There's one which is known as the bliss chemical, and there's one which is known as the love chemical. And these are two chemicals that are found in cacao that trigger similar pathways to sort of nicotine, alcohol, cocaine, all of those sorts of things, those pleasure pathways. And it sort of triggers the endorphin system as well, which is one of the reasons that cacao and chili go well together, is because they both trigger the same endorphin pathways. Okay.
Yeah, got that. It's all sounding good.
So, I mean, I guess like you said, say, Alison, the nutrients that are in cacao, such as the antioxidants and magnesium, are right up there on the sort of top end of the scale when it comes to sort of different food types. And then it's, if you want the ultimate sort of health benefit from chocolate, then you would be eating the beans fresh off the tree. But we live in the UK. I'm yet to find a cacao tree growing anywhere in this country. There might be one in Kew Gardens in their big greenhouse, and maybe in the Eden Project. But other than that,
I was at Eden last week. I didn't see one.
Well, there we go.
But I should have asked.
Maybe they should have a chocolate area. Oh,
a chocolate biome.
Wow. Oh, that would be good. What was that? So yeah, so we don't have the luxury of being able to eat cacao fresh. So the best option we have is sort of raw, unprocessed cacao. So dried cacao beans, cacao nibs. They're not always necessarily the most palatable of things, but you can use them in smoothies and things like that. The recipe we did recently had cacao nibs in, so you can get those and get even the raw pure form into your diet in various ways. But then once you start processing a little bit, splitting it down into the butter and powder, then you can really get creative. And I think that's where one of the joys of raw chocolate for us is sort of getting people making chocolate and trying different things. So and that's when you sort of start getting the other health benefits and sort of, yeah, so you end up with something that's not a typical mainstream chocolate. Cadbury's and other brands are available, isn't it? Isn't that the saying?
True. And that's what ties yourself and Alison together, insofar as, Alison, you run cookery courses based on raw chocolate.
Yes, I do. And I guess just to let you know how I got started in that, just a few years ago, I was completely addicted to commercial chocolate, and it was causing like, you know, my health was just suffering because of it. And so my good friend introduced me to raw chocolate, and it was when I was going through health transformation, and yeah, and I just fell in love with it. The taste, making it, it's just amazing. So I decided that, okay, well, I know a lot of people that are eating a lot of commercial chocolate that's having like really harmful effects on their health on a daily basis. So I decided to have workshops to teach people about the health benefits of it, how easy it is to make, and just to try to change their palate, and, you know, to give them other options. Like, they don't need to have that commercial stuff that's processed and heated 3 times. So anything good in it is just completely killed. So at least they can have nice enjoyment from the raw chocolate and still get the health benefits. And I can guarantee I can't even eat commercial chocolate anymore. Once you go raw chocolate, there's no going back.
Yeah.
So
I know exactly what you mean there. Every now and then I try some conventional chocolate, and it very rarely it's a high street bar. Normally it's a sort of quite expensive, unusual bar of chocolate, or sort of a single origin or something like that, and I'm always underwhelmed by them. And I always, yeah, it's like you say, once you really start your taste of raw chocolate and you develop your taste and your palate, it is so difficult to go back to sort of conventional raw chocolate. Conventional chocolate.
There's sort of styling scale, isn't there? Cadbury's, green and blacks, and then you get to the gold, which is raw chocolate.
Yeah, I would say there's probably a one little step in between, which is the sort of artisan sort of producers of conventional chocolate, whether that's sort of the big names like Paul A. Young or some of the smaller sort of independent brands. I think they're sort of a stepping stone as well. But again, it's using conventional chocolate and beans that have been roasted, etc., and then using sort of lots of dairy, using sort of endless amounts of cane sugar, refined sugars, and things like that. So it's just a different beast to raw chocolate. Absolutely.
Now, Alison, you were saying about how you got into raw chocolate. Can we talk a little bit about the courses you're running?
Yeah, sure. So I run courses from my home, and usually have about 6 people that come, and I tell them, like, give them, you know, it's kind of like a little educational class as well. And we have fun just preparing the chocolates and making different colored chocolates, white chocolate, dark chocolate. And, you know, it's really lovely. And everyone that comes to my classes just love it and walk away and just in awe, because they're like, it's that simple. And they come out with beautiful chocolates that come out of the molds. And it's something magical about it, you know, at the end of a class when you kind of prepare your chocolate. You have a definite appreciation for it. And it's not like, you know, sometimes with conventional chocolate you can just like eat it up and not think about it, but with the raw chocolate I find you're more mindful eating it, and you really don't need to overeat it. You know, 1 or 2 pieces and you're satisfied. So which is really great, because, like, you know, a lot of the clients that I work with, you know, you talked about like dairy and stuff. Some people I work with, they have a lot of intolerance and sensitivities to dairy, to different sugars. So and again, it's another option for them, because they still want chocolate, but they don't want, you know, to feel bad eating it. So yeah, it's kind of another benefit. But yeah, the workshops, just absolutely love doing them, and they're a lot of fun. And yeah, just welcome anyone who want to come and try a workshop out and have a bit of fun. It's usually half a day.
Cool, excellent. Well, you know, I'll do my best to help spread the word. I always do.
You do, thank you.
So yeah, and I think that's. I mean, Paula, my wife, she's been on a couple of raw chocolate workshops over the years, and that's been sort of, and that was one of the things that really sparked our journey with raw chocolate, actually ending up doing what we're doing. So it's once you start playing around with raw cacao, you never quite know where your life might go. And I think Roald Dahl was onto something when he wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because I've started rereading it a bit, and some of the things he says in there seem very deep and prophetic about actually what cacao is, rather than it just being this sickly sweet thing. It's he seems to touch into some of the sort of the more historic things, which I've never appreciated before. So it's definitely worth a reread.
Right.
I think we've got a couple of questions. So, Megan, how does the taste of raw chocolate compare to commercial store-bought chocolate in terms of bitterness? Well, I would say that the simple answer, if you have a 80% conventional chocolate and an 80% raw chocolate, the raw chocolate won't be anywhere near as bitter, and it's simply because the beans haven't been roasted. And it's the roasting process which is used for conventional chocolate that really draws out that stringent bitterness. So, yeah, so that it just will never be as bitter because of that roasting process is missing. So, there you go. Good question, Megan. Thank you.
And the second question from Dawny. Thank you, Dawny. Is there a source of raw chocolate in the United States? Because we have an international audience tonight from Europe and from the USA. And thank you to everybody who's joined Dan's RawChocTV. So, Dan, can we get raw choc in the USA? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you export?
There's not to the US yet. We do a little bit to Europe. In fact, I've got it went a couple of weeks ago. I had a load of yummy Scrummy go to Germany. So we're starting to export a little bit. But to Europe at the moment. But there are lots of raw chocolate companies in the US, from really small artisan companies who are based in a particular town or city and have a very small reach, to others which are sort of much more sort of global in their reach. So yeah, there's lots of raw chocolate companies in the US. Yeah, my mind's gone blank, but I follow all sorts of them on Instagram.
Don't worry about that. Our minds go blank as well. It's not a problem. Right? Is there such a thing as a recipe this week, Dan?
Wow, this is where we get a funny story instead. Because I had a plan. I had a schedule for the shows, and this show, I thought, right, I'm going to do that as a recipe. And then Jackie, who was our guest last week, sent me a recipe. And I went, oh, that sounds good. I'll do a video for it. And then I forgot to take my camera to work a couple of times. It's like, So I then tried to do it the other day. And the lesson for me is, one, allow for more time, but two, don't try and film a recipe when you haven't made that recipe before, because I saved my life. I got into a whole mess, and so I've got a recipe. Should we say it's on the cutting room floor?
That's fine.
But I do have the recipe that Jackie sent me. So if that's the address for that's the address for the recipe. Jackie's raw cacao truffles, and they are delightful, I will say. But you must install the Chrome browser extension. Well, actually, let's try that. Okay, then. While that installs, we can carry on with some other things, because Chrome should have.
Right. Okay. Well, coming back to the questions then. I'm just going to scroll up a bit. We've answered that question. Okay, this is a question from Moni. What's the recommended healthy daily amount of chocolate? I'm just extending that. So raw chocolate, or I mean, I've got talking from a personal point of view. While the two of you think about that, I find that if you're eating raw chocolate, you don't want to eat as much. So there's a natural thing that if you're eating raw chocolate, especially raw chocolate you made yourself, you want to save some for tomorrow. And you tend to eat less, but I don't know what the recommended level is. Now, bow to yourselves, Dan and Alison.
Do you want to take that one first, Alison?
Sure. Well, I believe the recommended daily amount is you can have chocolate every day, but again, it's in kind of moderation. So I would probably have maybe 2 pieces of chocolate a day. Or like a spoonful of cacao in my smoothies in the morning. You know what I mean? So, and kind of like you said, Stephen, it's hard to overdo it on chocolate. Your brain shuts down. It's like, okay, that's enough. You know what I mean? So, but I think you can have cacao every day, but just a little bit.
That sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think raw chocolate is different to any other thing. You sort of don't go stupid with it, because unless you're having just the sort of the beans or the nibs, you are going to be having some form of sweetener in there. All right, it'll be a sweetener that is better for you, such as raw honey, but you still don't want to overdo it with the sweeteners. So but you can get cacao into your diet in lots of different ways. So if you're making a smoothie or even a green juice, you can put cacao powder in there or cacao nibs. So then you're getting the cacao without the added sweetener. So there's lots of things you can do with it, and you can actually do savory recipes and things like that. So as a sort of bar of chocolate or a sweet treat, I would say probably just a bar or a couple of small individual chocolates, that sort of thing, rather than overdoing it. Because it's about enjoying things rather than being gluttonous on them.
I'm going to have to.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I'm going to have to dig out my chocolate making kit in a moment, because all these questions are making me think I want some chocolate. The next question is, what's the best thing to eat with raw chocolate? Wow.
What's the best thing to eat with it?
Does it go with some sort of fruit or nuts or?
Oh yeah, you can.
Any of those.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's really nice. You talked about the nibs earlier, and they're quite bitter. But what I like to do is do like a little trail mix. So you can have some almonds and cashews, some goji berries, and some of the raw cacao nibs. Put in a little Ziploc bag and kind of eat it in that way. So it's a nice mix of the chocolate with the fruit with the nut.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a nice simple way of doing it. I mean, if you've made chocolates, whether they're filled or plain chocolates, then obviously just enjoy them as you would normal chocolate. And if you're eating it like that, chocolate does go very well with red wine, I must admit. It also goes well with a really good coffee, not instant coffee, because that's not coffee. But yeah, so it complements things. But if you're maybe using it in sort of a recipe, people often put chocolate into when they're making a chili. So you could use cacao powder and add that in when you're making a chili instead of using cocoa powder. And that adds a depth to the flavor as well. So either on its own or with any number of other things.
How many ways are there to buy raw chocolate? Because you've mentioned, Dan, you just mentioned powder, and Alison, you mentioned nibs. What sort of, how do we buy it?
Most health food shops will stock it these days, and even sort of some supermarkets, some bigger supermarkets will have some on their shelves, and then sort of any number of online stores, ourselves included. And yeah, so but you the sort of different forms you get the whole beans. You don't see those for sale very often, but some people use them. Then you get the nibs, which are basically the crushed beans with the papery skin taken off. They're good for grinding onto things, onto sort of smoothies and things like that. Then the nibs will then be pressed further and ground further, and they become what's known as cacao paste or cacao liquor. But it's actually solid. Looks like a really unrefined, rough chocolate in appearance, but it doesn't have any sweetness to it. Some people use that in recipes. Then the next stage is that gets separated into the fat, which is the cacao butter, which is the sort of golden yellow, sort of solid looking butter, cacao butter, and then the residue is ground into a powder, which is kind of analogous with cocoa powder. So you get sort of powder, butter, and you put those back together and you get chocolate.
That's quite a range. It's available in the UK and the USA.
It's all over the place. The USA, Canada. There's some interesting raw chocolate companies in Australia that I sort of keep an eye on. There's sort of, all over. It's certainly getting around.
Just sidetracking for a moment. When I was looking around your site earlier today, Alison, I did sign up for a newsletter, and this ties in with the smoothies we've been talking about. Because if you do go to the link for Alison's site, you can sign up for an ebook with smoothies in it. And I recommend it. I mean, I've been reading it, and I'm there this weekend. That's what I'm going to do. Whilst eating the raw chocolate, I should be drinking a smoothie from Allison's recipe. No.
Oh, fantastic.
Do we have a competition this week?
We do indeed, and the competition is, hopefully people are going to like this one. It's to win a whole uncut tray of Yummy Scrummy and a whole uncut tray of Choc, which basically comes in at over 2 kilos of raw chocolate goodness.
Wow.
So
Can I win
think,
that?
let me see if screen sharing's. Oh, screen sharing.
If anybody has any questions, I mean, thank you everybody who's asked questions so far. It's helpful.
Basically,
if anybody would like to come on camera and speak to Dan and Alison, just press the camera bottom right hand side of the screen, and you're welcome to come on and just chat for 5 minutes or so. You can ask questions about raw chocolate, about raw chocolate recipes, about the competition, about anything. As long as you mention the phrase "I love raw chocolate," you can come on.
That sounds like a plan. So
like that.
I've just posted the link to the competition. The closing date is the 4th of September, and we're going to do the draw on the 5th of September. It's actually running a little bit longer than normal, and that's because I'm away a week that I would have normally have finished it. But yeah, so over 2 kilos of raw chocolate goodness can be yours. All you got to do is go to that link, click on register, and you're in with a chance to win.
Every month there is a winner.
Yes.
I can attest to
There
that.
is.
By the way, Dan, I love the T-shirt.
Oh,
Yes.
well, there's chocolate
Yeah,
there. Is there?
Yeah. I'm not going to remind you what you said 2 shows ago. But everybody on the show gets a T-shirt. That's what you said.
Absolutely. No. That still stands. Yeah. So from that episode 1. So yeah, I'm in the process of putting together how to do the T-shirts again.
And
so that will be appearing soon.
Yeah, and the commercial advert now is the host of raw chocolate products, if you're in the UK, on Dan's Elements for Life website. And I've tried most of them, and they're delicious. So Dan will probably post a link in a moment. But this raw chocolate is such a fascinating food, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It never ceases to amaze me what you can do with it, and what you can create with it, which I guess is sort of going back to the beginning of the show and saying about getting people into the kitchen and cooking. It's sort of, yeah, it just never ceases to amaze me what you can do with it and the flavors you get. And sometimes something that seemingly is gone wrong can turn into an amazing sort of, oh my god, where did that come from? Sometimes it doesn't, but usually it does. And the people that I meet through raw chocolate, and I mean, Alison's a great example, and I've just met some great people through raw chocolate, sort of in the UK and abroad, and just sort of, yeah, some amazing connections and sort of really sort of good friends sort of developing from it. So it's yeah, like I always say, it is an adventure.
It is. Well, there's chocolate, there's hope. That's a wonderful saying. I can't. I've got to credit that to you. Now, Alison, Dan just mentioned experimenting with the recipes. What's your take on that?
Well, interesting you mentioned that, because when I was making my raw chocolate smoothie tonight, I was adding cayenne pepper to it, and I overdid it with the cayenne pepper. So it's really good for you, but it's really spicy. Because the recipe that I use, I said a dash of cayenne pepper, and I poured it like just a little dash. I'm like, oh, that's not very much. So I did like shake. And yeah, I probably put maybe a tape. I put a lot in, too much. So yeah, so that's when recipes can go wrong. So when it says just a dash, you just want a dash. You don't want any more. So because that's like, whew, on fire. But yeah, but it's a lot of fun experimenting, you know. That's you know, it's, yeah, you can make some really amazing things, and like, yeah, sometimes not so good things, but then you can always sometimes with the not so good things, it doesn't take you long to figure out how to make it really yummy. So it's just,
yeah, absolutely.
It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just from making a really basic raw chocolate with just sort of 2 or 3 ingredients. It sort of takes no time at all. It's really simple and is a really good starting point. And then people can just start experimenting and playing around and actually sort of just make recipes of their own. I mean, I quite often don't follow a recipe fully, no matter who it is that's written it, whether it's sort of a big name TV chef and I'm following a recipe for Sunday or Sunday lunch or something like that, or through to a raw chocolate recipe or whatever it may be. I think probably 9 times out of 10, I will make a change. And it might just be because I don't happen to have a particular ingredient, or it might just be because I think, oh, that'd be nice in there. So I add something in. And once people start getting back into the kitchen, start making things, you sort of you build confidence, and actually you sort of start learning what complements each other and what may or may not work, and just have that confidence to give it a go and sort of to see what you can come up with. And yeah,
I think that's a good point. I think it's a good point with the confidence, because once you start and you start experimenting, you realize actually it's not that hard, and then that's when you gain the confidence and try different stuff. And yeah, absolutely.
And also making chocolate can be a team effort as well, because if you and your partner are involved, you're both going to eat it, so you should both be making it. It's an exercise in cooking together. It's an option to do so, because there's nothing to burn. So it's really just good fun making chocolate and making chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this time of year, when it's the sort of school holidays, I know it's a really good thing for parents to do with the kids, and sort of kids love making sort of chocolate. And but sort of we've had some lovely comments back from people when they've done it, they've made chocolate with their kids, and this sort of thing. They tell us about the story. We've even had some little notes that the children themselves have written and sent us. It's just been absolutely fantastic, and it's just it lights up my day getting that sort of feedback and hearing those stories of sort of parents or grandparents sort of sharing the experience with their children, and their children actually then starting to learn a bit more about sort of food and chocolate, and just actually reconnecting with sort of with their diets, which I think is so important.
Right, for people who've just joined us, Alison, will you just run through your workshop again? It's a 4-hour workshop.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, so it's a 4-hour workshop. It usually starts at 11 o'clock, and we begin the process of just some educating about raw chocolate and all the ingredients that we use that day. And it also includes a light lunch, which is usually healthy salads or soups and full of highly nutritious, really good stuff. And yeah, and then we just spend the afternoon having fun, experimenting, playing with the chocolate, using different molds and colors of chocolate. You know, sometimes we might use green chocolate, white chocolate, pink chocolate. So we have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, it's a great day out. I highly recommend it. I absolutely love teaching it. And all my clients that come, they really have a nice time as well. So.
Right.
Cool. And Alison is a prime example of another person who's spreading the raw chocolate love.
Indeed.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about for me. Spreading the raw chocolate love. That's the key.
That's the origin of RawChocTV.
It is, yes. Yeah. We sort of stumbled onto it because of random conversations. So, yeah, unless anyone else has got any other questions, I'm guessing we're probably about there, aren't we, Stephen?
I'd say so. It's
yeah.
Well, you are producing today. And I'm here, and I'm waiting for you to say. So it's yours.
Okay then. Well, yeah. I mean, so just to say thank you to everyone who's joined us for your questions and for joining us live. It means a lot to me actually to sort of have people sort of getting involved. So yeah, thank you. And obviously, Alison, thank you so much for coming along and sharing your wisdom and your expertise. Yeah, look forward to sort of continuing our journey together and sort of see where things go for both of us. And as always, Stephen, thank you for your help and your guidance and your steadying hand.
My pleasure. I always enjoy RawChocTV shows, and Alison, it's been good to meet. And to everybody who's watched and friends from the States, have a good day. And it's farewell from
well, just the last thing to say that the next episode 4, is on Wednesday, the 14th of September, 7 p.m. again. You can find out more details at RawChocTV. You can sign up for information and for updates. And of course, don't forget the competition, which is RawChoc.tv/EO3comp, and it's in the links, and I will put it on the recording. So thanks everyone. Take care. Have a great evening.
Thanks for having me.
All right then. Bye.
Bye.